Welcome to the Madison Chamber of Commerce first podcast. I'm Michelle Epling, president of the Madison Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here today with Robin with Blue Apple Books. Welcome, Robin. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. This is a beautiful new building.
Well,
So exciting.
Yeah, well, we're so appreciative of members like you that invest in the Madison Chamber and believe in us helping bring the business community together, and that's exactly why you're here today. Is talking about, as a business owner, Christmas in July. As you can tell, we had decorated our office today for the holiday season. And I think the holiday season to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, is kind of make or break sometimes for retail businesses, is it not?
There's a reason it's called Black Friday.
That's right.
And that's not only as it's become more typical in the last few years for online, for the Cyber Monday season, all of that, but definitely walk-in businesses. We absolutely have to have that season to survive.
Absolutely. So can you tell me, so you had your first holiday season, so you're a new retail business owner. You purchased South and Pine last year. You had your first holiday season last Christmas in 2024. What do you wish as that you could tell business owners? Because we have new retail stores, restaurants, and retail opening every day here in Madison. We call it running with scissors here in the city of Madison. Your mama says don't run with scissors, but we actually do at the chamber, run with scissors, doing ribbon cuttings everywhere all the time. What do you wish you knew that you know now going into 2025's holiday season and prepping now in July for Christmas and November and December for your shoppers coming in your store?
Right. That's a great question. And I'm certainly not going to be full of all kinds of handy, pithy lists that I can hand someone because I am still fairly new. I bought South and Pine, an existing business, in July of 24 with the intent of transforming half the space into Blue Apple Books. And so the bookstore side really did not get up and running until late September, which is way behind the curve when it comes to purchasing. And even on the South and Pine side, I had a lot of catching up to do because most retailers are doing their purchases in the spring and early summer for the holiday season. So I had a little bit of panic, but I also was very fortunate in that the former owners of the business had agreed to kind of mentor me through that process. As part of our deal in purchasing the business, we actually formalized that agreement so that I could ask questions and get information about vendors. And having that information, even though I was slow and even though it was past the prime, I felt empowered to get online, to find what I needed to find, to accept some out of stock notifications, but also to say, oh, I can find a similar product here. And to try to let my expectations guide me in that it was my first time and it wasn't going to be perfect.
Absolutely.
So
what do you say? You still had a successful holiday season?
I would. I looked at the numbers compared to the prior years under prior ownership, and I was right there with the prior owner's work, which was amazing, by the way.
Right.
She had formed a tradition of holiday shopping.
Yes, that's such a fun tradition.
Yeah.
Downtown Madison. I love that.
Yes. So I felt very proud. And I know that that's not really about me. That was about some of the buzz with a new business. And so the challenge now this year is going to be to make sure that I follow through and that I keep some of the things that worked and maybe improve upon some things that needed to be improved.
Absolutely. Do you have, so I'm going to ask you a fun book question. Okay. If you could give one title to every child in the city of Madison, what would that be?
Oh, goodness, Michelle. That's a lot of pressure. Oh my gosh, that it's such a personal thing, because I think about,
what about someone under the age of 8?
Yeah, I'm having families with kids, just flashing through my brain. I'm thinking of my own childhood and what I needed. And I do believe that that's a very personal question because if you've got, say, a child that's in foster care, they're going to need something very different in their hands than someone that hasn't experienced that kind of instability. So, okay, you're going to have to edit this out because I'm really having to think here. There's a book called I Am Wonderfully Made.
Oh, I love that.
That's incredible. There's some books by one of my favorite children's authors, Matthew Paul Turner, where just the joy of individuality is celebrated. And I just think all of those are so important no matter what background someone is from.
Right.
So those are the ones that come to mind. Of course, there's just the classics, even things like A Very Hungry Caterpillar, just celebrating the beauty of life.
Absolutely.
Our
My
sto-
favorite book was Goodnight Moon growing up,
uh,
but my kids love If I Could Keep You Little, and they still ask to this day if I could read it to them.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
they
it's just
have dipped their grapes in ketchup because of that book. So
yes,
it's funny
absolutely.
how it'll get you to try new food too.
Trying new things. That's what Blue Apple Books is all about. The concept metaphorically is about what do we do when we encounter things we haven't encountered in life before. And I think any book that kind of stretches that imagination, whether it's about your fears as a child of where is mom when the door closes,
Right.
whether it's that or whether it's just fantastical imaginative literature, like one of my favorites currently is called 100 Mighty Dragons Named Broccoli.
Oh,
And it sounds ludicrous, but it is really an amazingly powerful book about what goes through our minds when we think about color and when we think about shape and even a name like broccoli. Who would name a dragon broccoli? But
absolutely.
it's funny.
So add that to my kids' Christmas
Yes,
list. I think
yes,
we're going to
yes.
add that one to their Christmas list. Absolutely. So going back, I think you said something very important in the beginning. When you went to sign that agreement to take over the business, that you actually had it written in the contract that they would mentor you
Yes.
and everything. And I think that's so important. Tell me a little bit about mentors in your life and as you've grown through different things you've done over the years. What is something maybe a mentor has done that's kind of taken you to the next level as a leader in the community, in your profession? And what do you wish all mentors might do to help business owners grow in the Madison business community?
That is an incredible point. I firmly believe in mentorship. In fact, it's written into my articles of incorporation as a benefit corporation, which for those who might not know.
Yeah, do you want to explain the difference?
Sure.
Yeah, we do have a lot of people interested in opening a business here in Madison. Tell me a little bit about kind of how you created your business with
Sure.
Blue Apple Books. And
The Alabama legislature contemplated the concept of benefit corporations in the 2022 legislative session. Some student leaders from the University of Alabama and from the Birmingham business community, I believe Montgomery as well. I'm not sure who all was involved in it, but anyway, they came up with the petition, so to speak, to get this in front of the legislature, and a couple of legislators took that up, and it made it through the session. And in the spring of 2022, Alabama officially began allowing benefit corporations to form. We became the 38th state to do so. And you might think, well, why would a state not allow that? And I will be honest, I can't come up with an answer.
Really?
I've done a little bit of research on it.
Okay.
I think it's just one of those things that if it's not formalized, people just don't realize that it's not there.
Right.
And
Or
then
they just assume we already have.
Yes.
I've heard the term B Corp.
Yes,
I think
yes,
we
yes.
got Clark behind the scenes helping
Yeah.
run this podcast. He's shaking his head. But again, we just assume probably that that's already something you could do in Alabama that you learn in business school and you check the box and you move on. And so I'm glad there were people that advocated.
Me
for
too.
that.
I was actually taking classes through our the Catalyst
Yeah,
here
love the catalyst.
in
Lisa's
Huntsville.
coming on next week.
Yes, and I was learning about what my options were, contemplating perhaps forming a nonprofit because there are bookstores that,
Oh, are they?
especially ones that have educational or community service components, they can form as a nonprofit. And I researched that. I talked to a couple of CEOs of some bookstores that operate as nonprofits, and in fact, that's how I got my that's how I got my first post-teaching job at Kids to Love.
Oh, okay.
I was talking to friends about my desire to open a bookstore and the thought that I might open it as a nonprofit, and the fact that I wanted to offer mentorship to young creators, especially as part of my business model. And young adults aging out of foster care are a group that have my heart for various reasons as a teacher and as a human.
Right.
And so along that way, someone suggested that I talk to Lee Marshall. They're like, really, she's the person that would be able to give you some great advice. So I made an appointment, went in to talk with Lee, who was an amazing advisor. She listened. We cried.
Yeah.
We talked about this dream, and she called me 2 weeks later and said, I think your idea is amazing. While you're figuring out what to do with the bookstore, would you come and work for me?
Oh, how lovely.
So I had my amazing 26-year teaching career, 29 years really, because I taught preschool before we moved to Alabama. And then 3 years in the nonprofit world under the leadership of Lee Marshall and Dorothy Havens, who was the director of K-Tech. And I worked as a liaison recruiting students for the K-Tech program. And along the way, I decided not to go the nonprofit route, not because of any experience I had at Kids to Love, but just because what I was learning about what I wanted to do. And I took this class via Zoom with the Catalyst and found out about benefit corporations. And I got off of that Zoom call and I immediately emailed the person in Birmingham who had done it. And I said, we need to have an appointment. I need to talk to you immediately because I believe that this is what I need to do. Because what a benefit corporation does is, like a nonprofit, it integrates goals to assist a certain population or a certain community while also maintaining an LLC format.
Nice.
So to me, that was the perfect marriage of what I wanted to do. And for various reasons, some people choose to just do an LLC or to just do a nonprofit. For me personally, and for what I want to do, it was a great model.
Absolutely.
So
I know that you're comfortable with that thing, because I think you can go out and get a business license and be like, well, this isn't really what I wanted to do, but they told me I had to go to City Hall and get a business license. So I opened an LLC and now I'm filing stuff with the IRS. And then all of a sudden you're just like, what did I sign up for? This is not the vision I had. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize there are other options outside of just the single proprietor or LLC. So going back to kind of Christmas in July, what do you think, what is your wish for how the community supports local this holiday season?
So when I think about the holiday season, because of all the pressure that it puts on all of us, I wish that weren't so, because it is such a joyous time.
It is.
And so I guess balance is the word that comes to mind, because I think people are like, yeah, but my kid wants this one thing and it's only available at this one place online, whatever that might be. And so then they maybe feel guilty, or I
just tell them Santa's elves needs 4 weeks time to build a toy, and you can't put in requests 4 weeks prior to Christmas because his elves won't have time. Maybe my kids might need therapy later, but that's how we handle it at our house.
I think everybody has to handle that.
Just like Santa's elves does not have time to make that with 2 days before the holidays.
Yeah.
But I also have been known to send my husband to Walmart on Christmas Eve to go get the Play-Doh or random slime thing.
Or Walgreens, because they're open later.
Or Walgreens.
We've done that plenty of times. So I don't say this with any kind of judgment or harsh, strict, oh, you must shop local every time. Sometimes there are things that your family needs, or an item that you're getting specially made by a vendor that's in Colorado or whatever, that you need to get that for your family.
Absolutely.
But I also think that there's a balance, that we have, all of us, no matter what income bracket we're in, have at least some discretionary income and choices to make about holiday spending. And I believe that a good bit of it can be slid over into the local markets. I can think of very little that can't be bought here in Madison. So I just would challenge people to be curious and to ask friends and family and get online. I think that when things became so easy to access on the apps and on the scroll, during the scroll and online, people forgot.
Yes.
People forgot that there's wonderful, beautiful things to walk into.
And there's so much more joy when you give something that you have purchased, from the Robin in downtown Madison and from, the local store owner. I know even in my own kids, when they go and we have them go downtown for Christmas and Easter and their birthdays and different holidays, and having them give each other the gift. They're like, this is from Blue Apple Books. Open it. I've been waiting. I think there's such that thrill that people forget, versus just ordering something from a big box store and throwing it in a gift bag. It just doesn't have that same personal touch, in my opinion. I mean, I know even my own kids talk about it. Oh, the store owner, Robin, said that you would love this, and I think there's that extra joy. And I think gifting at the end of the day, in my opinion, comes down to giving joy to someone else. And I think
Absolutely.
there's extra joy that you can give when you shop
Yeah,
local.
I do too. I think we have some amazing creators in this area. It has been thrilling to me to have people walk in and go, I heard you might want to look at some of my art. And there's almost a hesitancy there because it is such a vulnerable thing for an artist or an author, whatever their medium is, to hand someone their work.
It's scary
It
too,
is.
especially something that you built or created yourself, that fear of rejection, especially from an artist standpoint.
Yeah.
They're not in the sales business.
No.
They don't want to be told no.
Right.
They're not someone that's used to being the salesperson and tracks their nose.
Absolutely.
So, I think that's so nice though that they feel comfortable enough to be coming through your doors. I think that speaks a lot to the culture you built at Blue Apple Books. And let's talk a little bit about going into the holiday season, all the fun workshops and events and things that you do every week. I wish I could just live at your store looking at your current schedule and stuff. So tell me a little bit about what you're most excited about and some of the things you got coming up for third and fourth quarter that you might want to share in July to our audience.
Sure. Yeah, it is thrilling to me to open the space up to private groups, to workshops, people that want to come in and just use my space, or things that my staff is organizing on our own. All of those things are amazing. The author events that we're able to have where someone sets up a table and just talks to people about their work.
I bought a Father's Day gift.
Yeah.
Yes, that worked out very nice.
Yes. Sometimes people come because they know there's a book event, and some people are just coming in off the street and they have no idea.
Yeah.
And to watch them kind of go, oh, that's an author?
Yeah.
It's really, really,
fun.
really, really fun. But the ticketed events do help us. I mean, it brings in revenue. It allows the space to be used. And it allows for people to share what they want to do. Just last night, we had a book bedazzling class where people brought in a special book cover. And one of my customers, who had shown me her work a few weeks ago, led the class.
How fun!
And so I didn't have to learn that skill. And that goes back to my teaching days. I started teaching at 25. I taught middle school gifted kids. And I learned very quickly that there was no way I was going to be able to be an expert in all the things that they were interested in. If I was going to only teach the things I knew about, those kids would be learning about this many things.
Right.
And I had to get rid of my ego, and I had to visit the library a lot. This was pre-internet, easily accessible internet.
Yes.
And I had to go. I remember very distinctly going to the main branch of the Huntsville Library because we lived in Huntsville at the time.
What an icon that building is,
right?
Isn't it?
I went to the second floor reference desk. I got to know those ladies very well, and they had a big old binder, and I still remember that binder. I remember the desk I sat at every couple weeks looking for the stamp club, looking for, does anyone do anything with paper airplanes? Because I had students who wanted to,
Who were interested.
Yeah. And because it was pre-internet, you literally have a phone number,
look it up,
or sometimes an address.
Yeah.
And I would have to write a card. Anyway, it's amazing to think about that's what we did. When now I can just.
And now kids are like, ask Siri. We actually had an original set of encyclopedias in the very beginning when my kids were 4 or 5 and they'd ask all those questions. I'd be like, go look it up in the encyclopedia. They're like, well, we can look it up on the computer. I was like, but no, you're going to look it up in an encyclopedia first.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a big difference to understand that, like, that's how you used to learn things. I remember my grandfather's encyclopedias were always at the bottom of his bookshelf in the basement of their house. And I come be 5th grade and I had a question. He's like, well, go look that up in the encyclopedia, honey. And
well, I think the value in that is that it's limited and it doesn't overwhelm you, especially if you're younger. If you start clicking online, you can just get completely turned off.
One, it can be
too much.
Yeah. If you're little and you type in, my kids in Canva accidentally typed in, they wanted to be a doctor, so they typed in surgery. Well, Canva actually shows actual surgery, open patient. Like, that's scary. Like, that is not.
Yeah, and that's graphic design software. Yeah, that's
not even the internet. You think that's safe, and it's also not. And so.
Yeah, so I learned that I needed to bring in people who could help my students. And now, even though I'm out of the classroom, K-12 classroom, the community is a classroom. I firmly believe that we can learn so much from the
Yeah.
people around us, that I defer to them. Now, I'd love to learn things as well, but again, my brain only has so much capacity. So I love to see people like the person last night. She'd never done anything like this before. And so I came alongside her and I helped her a little bit
Oh,
with
she was so proud, I bet.
Oh,
And I've been just beaming probably at the
and
end.
everybody had so much fun.
Yes.
Another thing that we do is our high school art program, where I ask the high school art teachers at James Clemens and Bob Jones to nominate a high school senior who has promise, but who might need some help getting their work out into the world. And we talk about their business cards. And I'm an English teacher, so I can help them edit their
I love
content.
that. Yeah.
And then they have a little opening at the store and they can put their artwork up.
Fun.
So over the holiday season, for example, that will be magnified. We will have people that are bringing in items just for the holiday season. And people need to realize that just because you've been to a store at one point, go again.
Yes.
Because they're going to be pulling out all the stops. We have our first week in November, our Tidings of Comfort and Books,
Yeah.
which was a tradition started by the prior owner. She called it a different name, but I decided to continue the tradition and just modify it to add the bookstore. And it's a ticketed shopping event. We have curated inventory and refreshments and make it a fun time for people. The other event I would love to be able to bring up is that we have our first major nationally known author coming to Madison this fall.
Yes.
And so,
You want to tell everyone who it is?
sure, Jen Hatmaker, who is a nationally known author, podcaster, speaker, is coming to do a VIP book signing at the store. And then Mary Catherine Backstrom, another local author who's gaining in popularity, is going to be opening for her at Columbia High School, where she will give a keynote speech that evening. So October 21st, we will be selling tickets later. Well, by the time this airs in July,
Yes.
the tickets will be on sale and people can choose to come either to the VIP event or to the keynote or both. If they would like to come to the VIP event and then come to the keynote, that's great as well.
Absolutely.
So,
I've followed Jen for years, and what an incredible story she's going to have to tell on what she's lived through, and
yes.
just the motivation she gives, I think, to everyone. And
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting to bring someone that's that nationally known from our sweet, wonderful little bookstore on Main Street. So,
We're very proud. I want to mention too, we're very proud to partner with the Madison Arts Alliance for that event.
oh, good.
They are kind of newly regrouped and formed their own nonprofit earlier this year. And this is going to be a fundraiser for them.
Okay.
And they are helping me with tickets. They're going to be helping me with
Publicizing it.
minute moment. They're going to help me with publicizing the event because Jen is one of those people out in the world who celebrates creators.
Yes.
Not only is she a person of, spiritual advice and just life lessons, but she believes firmly in, especially in elevating women creators, but creators of all types, in making sure that there's a place for them and that they can make a living at what they do if that's what they so desire. So I believe this event is going to not only be what Madison might need at this moment to kind of say, hey, we bring a lot to the world in our community.
To the world is the biggest city in the state of Alabama.
Yeah. So, but the Jen would also kind of echo that. And at her level, she can say, hey, you guys are doing some great things here. And this is my work that I've vulnerably put out into the world. And maybe you could learn something from that.
Right.
So,
what would you say? 2 questions and we'll wrap up. Is that good? Tell me one thing that you wish, now that you've been in business about a year and a half, that you wish all business owners would know from the beginning.
well, so yeah, I mean, in July, I will be 1 year. So I'm still feeling like this is a baby.
Yeah.
And I feel like that metaphor works because if you ask the parent of a 1-year-old, what parenting advice do you have? Well, they're going to have some great advice about an infant.
Yeah. So tell me about the best advice you have for an infant.
So for an infant business owner, sorry, I shouldn't use that
No,
terminology.
I think it's great. I call ourselves at the chamber because we're going into 5 years.
Yeah.
In November, we started kindergarten.
Yes.
So I actually gave a tour to someone earlier today. I said, we're now in kindergarten.
Yes.
So I use that terminology. I think that's very important for business owners to understand.
Yes.
Definitely relate it to childhood because as you start a business, it really is. I talked to a business owner today that's going to be celebrating their 40th anniversary,
That's crazy.
They're now in their prime, but they still were talking about, payroll challenges and all the things that go along with that. So,
yes, I guess I would say just ask questions. I missed a couple of things that there's not going to be a list that someone's going to hand you.
Correct.
And I wish there were. I've actually thought maybe that's a business idea.
There you go.
Making a list.
Yeah.
But there's not. And and honestly, even if there were, it would change.
And it's business to business, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So just keep clicking on those websites, but also ask people questions especially if they're in the same category as you. But again, you also have to go with your gut and trust that what you're reading, might not apply to, if you're reading something about another business, you got to make it work for your community,
correct,
your location,
and your customers,
your staff, all those things. So just don't be afraid. You're going to probably make some missteps, but it's okay. You're going to go to bed, you're going to wake up the next morning and you're going to unlock those doors and breathe. And then people are going to walk in and they're going to be so excited to be there.
Absolutely.
People want you to succeed.
They do.
For the most part. And I would say both listening to your gut and listening to other people are very important. But also don't be afraid to pick up that phone and call a state agency. It can be intimidating and you might sit on hold for a while.
Yeah. Or call your local chamber and we can connect you with the right area that we might have faster resources.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also don't feel pressure to do the thing that is gonna seem like the right step for you because it was the right step for your neighbor business owner. You've got to figure out where your money is going to go because you're going to have a lot of startup expenses.
Yeah.
Even taking over an existing business, there were things I needed for the bookstore that had not been already in South and Pine. So I had to make some hard choices.
Yes.
And just trust your gut and hold on to that dream. I kind of get annoyed sometimes as to that phrase, remember your why.
Yes.
Because I think it can get trite, but I do think at the end of the day, you know why you went into that business. And it's not always going to be perfect, but just to pick yourself up and walk in with a smile the next day and
or come spend some money at Blue Apple Books and Robin will make you feel better. So you can also do that. And so been a bad day, come take a lunch break in downtown.
And sometimes you do need to treat yourself.
You do. Yeah. What is one thing that you have bought for the bookstore that you were like, we'll just buy it, but no one's going to buy this. And it's been a bestseller and it just makes you laugh every month or quarter that you have to reorder it because you just sell out of it. And when you originally placed the order, it was like on a whim and you were just like, I'm just going to add this to my cart. No one's probably going to actually buy a lot of these. And then all of a sudden now it's like a permanent fixture in your store. Do you have one of those items?
Well, I would say I ordered from a company in Florence called If USA, and they have some cute bookmarks and bookish accessories. And their Spaceman book light.
Spaceman
Their
book light.
Spaceman book light. It looks, and I shouldn't have been surprised because of it. What I am surprised are the number of adults who buy it for themselves.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Not so much like a kid. Yes. It's more like the number of nerds running around, little rocket scientists that are sitting in their bed at night with their book light.
I have
their
to have it.
Their Spaceman book light. I love that.
Yeah, it's been a great seller, and I have to constantly order them. So.
Yeah. Okay, so to wrap things up, we're going to ask everyone the same question. Can you tell me, Robin, what your favorite dish is? And I know you probably have lots of favorite restaurants.
Yes.
But what is you just crave? You're having a bad day. Yeah. I'm going to go here and I'm going to order this at a local Madison City restaurant.
the fried grouper lunch special at Main Street Cafe.
That is delicious. We ate there on Monday, and she didn't have it fried. She only had it blackened, and I ordered it blackened. I was like, I want my fried grouper, and it's so good.
It's so good.
So good.
And I'm a Mississippi girl who's had a lot of fried fish.
Yes.
And I do like my fried catfish, but that fried grouper is perfection.
That fried grouper is perfection.
And, of course, there's strawberry pretzel salad to go with it, even if I have to take it with me to go.
That is the perfect bad day. That with the fried pickles or fruit tea, and you're good to go. Well, Robin, thank you for being on our first ever Madison Chamber podcast. And y'all, please go check out Robin and her amazing store, South and Pine and Blue Apple Books in historic downtown Main Street in downtown Madison. Robin, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.